Hey guys and girls, it's Blackjack with 396 Guitars. We have, I try not to record every single guitar. It's not realistic because sometimes I just need to get work done. But interesting stuff I like to put up on video. We've got a Fender Jazzmaster here, and let's get to work. I'm going to show you and explain what we're doing. Remember, if you dig what I'm doing, please like and subscribe. Taking this guy out, and I'll move down since this is where the business end of our job is. We're taking this guy out. Mastery, a new Mastery bridge assembly, and well, it's actually the whammy, the tremolo system, call it what you want. It's brushed stainless by the looks of it. This one is a pretty nice guitar. It's got some sort of oil and grease all over, but this chrome tends to pit over time. That will not do that, and this has a locking mechanism on it that is just the wonkiest piece of junk I have ever come across. I don't know why, and yeah, if you can't get rid of it really unless you take it all out and put in a regular Fender style bridge. It's a lot more work. This is an upgrade, and it eliminates the stupidity of having that locking mechanism on it, and it's far, far better equipment than that. So I understand the customer wanting to replace it. Let's get to work. First thing we're going to do is pull this out so I can show you what's under there. I just have to continually ask myself, why? Why would they do this? It's a Jazzmaster, interesting instrument, lots of extra goodies on it, coil splitters, all kinds of stuff. I believe it's a American Professional. I mean, it's a nice instrument, don't get me wrong, but it's got a lot of extra gear on it I would never want if I was a guitar player, but I'm not a guitar player. Maybe that's why they want all that extra gear. Interesting stuff, different sounds, always chasing tone and different sounds. I get that part. So yeah, we're going to take it off. I don't know if we're going to get this whole thing into one video. We're going to try. It should not be that big of an operation, but I do have to restring it and do a setup on it. So because yeah, we're putting a new saddle and bridge assembly and a new trem system. What else? A new string tree, and we have to put ferrules in. These ferrules will not accept the new one, the new saddle and bridge assembly. So yeah, it gives you ferrules that have to go in there. That's going to probably be the biggest part of this operation, is figuring out how they go in. Pretty basic, pretty simple. This locking mechanism, I don't know, it just rides against the plate and is supposed to lock it. You have to actually pull it down and put this under it so that it basically blocks the trem system from working. Don't like it. This thing is covered in grease. What in the wide world of sports? I need to be tracking that all over the guitar. Yeah, there's grease all over the guitar too. Like somebody had it apart and lubed it. Epic fail. And, yeah, okay, maybe you put a little lube on it, the moving parts, but the whole thing is just like oozing with grease and gack. I don't know what people do, what they've done. That must be our ground wire that has to go right there. Got to be mindful of that. Yeah, we're going to have to clean it up when we're done. I'm going to put the spare parts there. So far it looks pretty straightforward. I'm not going to bolt that in until I figure out what's going on here. So I got a million screws to take out. Stand by. So what we get when we open up the pick guard, get it out of the way so we can open up this, is these little plastic ferrules that go ferrule within a ferrule. These are the ferrules that are pressed into the body that hold the old bridge. So the new saddle assembly actually fits right down in there, but I think we're going to be missing about that much on the height, because unless they made up for it, this sat in there and held this, the original bridge assembly, up higher. So what I'm going to have to do first, before we get too far, that looks like way too much radius. I'm pretty sure that's going to be way too low. I'm pretty sure that's going to be way too low. Yeah, and I don't think we're going to be able to make up that much. What we're doing is we flat edge down the fretboard. You just kind of put a flat edge on the fretboard, a straight edge, and it should just kiss, or just like when you hit that saddle, it should just kiss it or just barely lift up on this. That way you know you're close enough, and they're way too low. So I'm pretty certain we're going to have to shim this assembly up. I don't think we need to pull those out and put these in, because the lip on these and the lip on those are the same. It's going through all the trouble of pulling those ferrules out and putting in the brushed stainless is not going to happen, because it's not necessary. What will be necessary is finding the right size washers to shim this up about a 1/16 to an 1/8 of an inch to get it up to about there. And believe it or not, that's all it is from there to lift it up slightly to where we're going to have adjustability. And that is going to be trial and error. Washers aplenty, but I think I have in my other shop some more adequate washers. I don't want to put a stack of washers. I want to try to find one washer that's thick enough and that isn't too big for the circumference radius of that. I don't want to have a whole stack of washers there. I'm going to have one washer that'll work, or a nylon. Even better would be a nylon spacer. That's the perfect size washer in circumference to fit over that so it doesn't move around, but it needs to be about 10 times that thickness, because it has to kind of match. I'm going to try to match the thickness of that ferrule head right there by my index finger, or my middle finger. Yeah. Interesting. Stand by. I have to go through my parts bin. So in my extensive spare parts bin, I save everything. I save every piece of hardware in every project I ever do. I don't care if you're talking about building a hot rod in the garage or a motorcycle or working on guitars. I save every piece of hardware, and I had the exact right size washers. Now they fit firmly and snugly around the posts. The posts go right down in the holes perfectly, and they're secure. I was hoping to find a thicker type spacer, but I'm going to have to put two washers. One's a little bit thicker than the other one. I think that's what's going to work. And now when we check, we're kissing the saddle in almost every place except all the way out here. So I notice a really acute. I am wondering if he got the right bridge for the radius of this guitar, because you can see the curvature on that, where the saddle line goes right here. It's a pretty it's a pretty round radius. And what my fear is, here we're high enough on these 4 saddles in the middle, but the 2 outside saddles, the low E and the high E, I don't know if we're going to have enough adjustment to bring them up to where they need to be, but there's really only one way to try that. When the plastic spacers were in the original ferrules and the original bridge was on there, where did I put the original bridge? Yeah, there's screws all the way down in here that hold it up much higher. And the radius doesn't look as severe. Yeah. See, it's got these screws protruding here that actually lift the bridge up even higher. They go down in the bottom of the metal ferrule. They go past the thickness of that spacer. So it really wasn't even sitting on these spacers. It was sitting on those little screws right there. Now, my fear is that we're not going to have enough adjustment because these appear to be friggin' bottomed out. This is the kind of thing you go through when you're, or is there a set screw on the inside of that head? Let's check that out first. Is it metric or is it standard? That's going to be the first question. Oh yeah, there we go. So there's a set screw on the inside that mimics that system. So that's cool. So we're going to basically run it out to about the same and hope we're close. I'm going to keep this one out because we're going to need it. It's standard, made in USA. Oh, wait a minute. Get in there. And run it all the way out to the same measurement, give or take. This is your fine-tuning adjustment to get your string height. And that means we don't need all those extra spacers. We only need basically one. Could probably get away with none, but I'm going to put one each. It's a thicker one. This is what I'm going to do. And now we're going to be up there. It doesn't actually sit on the spacer. It actually sits on those 2 little set screws that go down into it. Oh, I'm glad I figured that out. Boy, I'll tell you, for a guy with a slow leak in his head, sometimes my brain works pretty good. I think we're too far now. Let's see how they're shown to put that saddle. It is showing, yeah, this is how I always put the intonation screws, facing towards the bridge of the saddle, as it were. Or in this case, I mean, on a Gibson, it would be a stop bar here. Yeah, I think I'm too tall. So I know we're going to have adjustment. I think I'm too tall. Get down in there. Maybe it wasn't all the way down in there. Let's check with our straight edge again one more time. It's actually hitting the front part of the... Now my fear is, are we going to have enough to lower it? Because now we can take it down farther. We may not need that spacer in there at all. Because the spacer could hinder our lowering ability. Yeah, you never know. It's kissing our saddle there. It's just about kissing the saddle on the high E. Just about kissing it on the low E. We should be good. We should be good. I'm going to roll with that. If I have to go lower, I'm going to have to probably pull it off and actually take the spacer out that I put in there. In fact, it doesn't appear as though that spacer needs to be in there at all. I'm going to go without it. If I have to, I can put it in, but I don't think I'm going to need it. I think our adjustments, that's what it actually sits on, is just these two posts right here. Yahtzee. Let's see what it looks like with this put back in there. Wires and wires. I was hoping against hope that I wouldn't have to pull this out, but I'm glad I did, because now I could look at it and see really what's going on here. I think they all want to go in that cavity right there. Yep. Just make sure we got all of our wires out of the way. Got a wire trying to get in the way over here. God, isn't it lovely when you're working on stuff like this? Oh, it's going to be easy. Just throw it in there. It'll be perfect. It'll be easy. It'll go right in. Nothing ever goes right in, believe me when I tell you. There, wires are back in place. Let's at least put a couple of screws in. Just a couple. It even gives us some stainless mounting screws for this. I like that. I'm just going to put a couple in to hold it in place for now. Just to make sure we're going to be okay. And at the end, we'll put all the screws back in. Yeah, we're good. I believe I'm going to put one more in. Running a little long in the tooth already on this video. See, building guitars, customizing guitars. You know, I think, yeah, the friggin' condom is still on this goddamn guitar. Boy, boy, oh boy, oh boy. Yeah, the damn sticker's still on the pick guard. Golly. I guess I should have taken that off while I had the damn thing all apart. I'm going to pause and get that sticker off of there. Stand by. Okay, so that took a hot minute getting the plastic off of the pick guard, because it is a new guitar it's a brand new guitar for that matter. Moving right along. Ground wire right there. It was kind of flopping around, and I'm not even 100% sure it was grounded underneath the other thing. It may have only been touching it. So what I did was pulled it a little bit extra through, hooked it a little bit, and got it right to that screw hole. So important that when we place the new bridge or the new trem system in there, that's the first screw we put in, and make sure that that ground wire catches and gets pulled underneath this little guy right here. So I did tighten that one down. Usually when I'm putting something like this in, I'll put them in snug and loose and then tighten them all down, because I want it to find its home, which is right there. Now these are beveled, so it should pull it into alignment. It sends its own hardware with it. These are also stainless. I gotta say, it's a high quality piece. Never heard of them. Mastery Vibrato. And it did. It pulled it right in place. It aligned all the other holes perfectly. So yeah, we're going to drive the rest of the screws in. And then we're going to string it and have at it. When we get to going after this, I'm not 100% sure he wants this to be a locker. So this doesn't have the same locking mechanism on it. So I'm wondering if there's any locking mechanism, or if we just drive the tension all the way up on the spring for the whammy, a trem bar, as it were, and that kind of constitutes it being locked. Don't know. Already missing a screw. There's one more in there. Interesting. Interesting. I like doing different things. What we're going to do is get this aligned, and we're going to run a string in and see what it looks like. One string probably isn't going to tell the story, but it'll give me some idea. What kind of strings are we putting on? 52 to 10. Oh, going with a hybrid. Skinny top, heavy bottom. All right. I just don't like this system. I never have. I know this is an upgrade to the one that it came with, but I never dug this system. I just don't like it. Sorry, that's me. Got all our parts out. Let's move back down into the video with everything. We're going to take the string tree off, put that on, and then I think we're going to call that. I'm going to call that good for this video, because I'm going to do a part 2, and we're going to string it and see just where we're at with this kind of nonsense here, because we're already getting long in the tooth. Videos go so fast. You know, my videos are organic. I don't go in for that editing for time and content. I'd like you to see everything that's going on, or as much as possible. And that is my rant on that. I won't mention any names, but the internet is rife with people who think that they're Martin Scorsese. You after more views, go ahead, knock yourself out. I don't do it. And always leave your string tree a little loose, enough to move it around and get the string so that this one is just high E and B, but you don't want it tilted one way or the other. Leave it loose enough that you can move it, but not flopping around. All right, that is that. We did not use the ferrules. And a little tobacco case. All right. Should we put some strings on now? No, we're going to call that good for this. We got that in, we got that in, and we got that in. I think we're going to be okay with spacing here, and I think that we have enough. I'm just really concerned about the way that they ship it with that. It's a really crazy radius on that thing. I mean, really crazy. But I digress. We'll get to the next part. Blackjack with 396 guitars. We have the Jazzmaster. We're changing out the trem system on it to the Mastery system. Really nice gear. Definitely an upgrade from Fender's original equipment. Let's get to the second video. Check in later. Remember, if you dig what I'm doing, like and subscribe.